Hello. Today, I'll be discussing a film called Big Brother, which falls into the action, drama, and comedy genres. The movie follows the story of Henry, who returns to Hong Kong after serving in the US military for several years. He aspires to become a teacher and goes to his former school, Tuk Chi Secondary, to start his career. However, the principal of the school informs him that he doesn't have any prior teaching experience. Fortunately, Henry is able to present a recommendation letter from a higher official, which convinces the principal to give him the job. However, the principal also warns him that the class he will be teaching is the worst in the entire school. On the morning of his first day, Henry walks into the classroom only to find absolute chaos. Some students are sleeping, others are singing, some are playing video games, while a few are even cooking ramen on a portable stove. Despite the teacher's arrival, the students continue to ignore him and carry on with their activities. Henry attempts to grab their attention, but they pretend not to hear him. Eventually, he gives up on trying to divert their attention and instead starts going around the classroom, commenting on the things they are already doing. Henry advises the students who are cooking to eat less ramen due to its high sodium content. He also approaches a student named Zufa who is playing the ukulele and offers him some help. Additionally, he warns a student who is playing video games about the potential risks of radiation from staring at the screen for extended periods. After struggling to get the students to pay attention, Henry finally manages to capture their interest. He introduces himself and writes his name and phone number on the board. The students laugh at his handwriting and tease him. Suddenly, one of the students calls him and tells him to leave the classroom, but Henry brushes it off and continues with his teaching. However, the students continue to ignore him and carry on with their previous activities. Frustrated with their lack of attention, Henry decides to take matters into his own hands. He uses a rubber band and chalk to trigger the fire sprinkler in the classroom, causing the students to scatter to avoid getting wet. Finally, he gets their full attention and officially welcomes them to his class. After class, a group of students who are ranked at the bottom of their class gather in the sports supply room to smoke. Jack, the leader of the group, has a crush on a high-achieving student from another class, and the other members tease him when they catch him staring at her photo. The group has a rivalry with the wealthy and privileged students from the school's basketball team. One day, while the basketball team is practicing nearby, the group watches from a distance. Jack accidentally drops a bottle onto the court, causing the team leader to fall. The group laughs at the incident, but they are caught and given detention by the school's English teacher, Miss Liang. In order to avoid detention, the group decides to play a prank on their English teacher, Miss Liang. While she is busy cleaning her desk, they run away. Meanwhile, the school's principal is troubled by the news that the education board is planning to reduce their annual funding by 20%. Representatives from the board visit the school to inspect how the funds are being used. At the same time, Henry enters the classroom where the students have set up a bucket of water to prank him. However, he is quick to react and is able to push the bucket away before it can fall on him. The students who were waiting to play the prank on Henry are surprised when he easily dodges the bucket of water. Henry then asks Jack for his pack of cigarettes, as he knows that Jack smokes. Jack hands it over, curious about what Henry plans to do. Henry then asks Zufa to name the 3 ingredients in a cigarette, and when he answers correctly, Henry allows him to skip class for the day. This catches the attention of the other students, who start banging on their desks, demanding to be allowed to skip class as well. Henry then hands out cigarettes to everyone and asks them to analyze it. Henry realizes that merely warning the students about the health risks of smoking won't be effective, so he takes a different approach. He asks them about the consequences of smoking and educates them on how tar accumulates in their lungs. This approach captures their attention and they become genuinely interested in learning. At the end of the lesson, Henry asks them to return their cigarettes, which they reluctantly do. Later that day, a conflict arises between Jack's group and the basketball team when the captain of the team trips one of Jack's friends in the cafeteria. This leads to a violent argument where the students throw food and tables at each other, causing significant damage to the cafeteria. Afterwards, Henry is notified that 5 students from his class have been temporarily suspended for initiating the fight. While in the hallway, Henry intervenes and stops Jack from fighting his opponent. Jack responds by accusing the school of being biased towards the wealthy, claiming they receive no punishment. Later that day, Henry reviews the files of all 5 suspended students to gain more insight. He discovers that one of the students, named Zufa, is the son of a Pakistani immigrant who frequently experiences discrimination due to his race. Zufa is often falsely accused of stealing by the police in his neighborhood and aspires to become a musician. The second student in the story is a girl named Dinan. Her father has been disappointed in her since her birth because he always wanted a son. Throughout her life, Dinan has been attempting to earn her father's approval. She even cut her hair short and played with toys that were traditionally meant for boys. Despite her efforts, her father pays little attention to her and instead dotes on her younger brother. There are also 2 brothers in the story named Bruce and Chris. When they were children, their mother left them for another man, which caused their father to become an alcoholic. The brothers had only each other to depend on while growing up. Bruce used video games as a way to escape reality, while Chris worked hard at a grocery store to provide for the family. Finally, Henry is unable to gather any information about Jack's family background. In the next scene, we see Jack working as a waiter at a restaurant. One day, an MMA bettor named Jianying arrives with his business partners. Jack steals Jianying's fancy lighter when he's not looking, but is caught in the act. Jianying's associates beat him up while checking his ID. After discovering that Jack is a student, Jianying gives him some money and offers him a job as a food delivery man. Meanwhile, Henry visits Zufa's home and finds him running away from his father and his associates after stealing a ticket. At first, Henry tries to help him, but after learning the reason for his pursuit, he sides with Zufa's father. Later, Henry and Zufa head to the bridge to hang out. Henry uses his singing skills to encourage Zufa to step out of his comfort zone and sing with him on the streets. This is a significant moment for Zufa, who had been bullied at school and never sung in public before. Meanwhile, Bruce and Chris's father returns home inebriated, demanding they fetch him a beer. When they refuse, he kicks them out of the house. The following day, Henry speaks to their father and convinces him to seek rehabilitation for the sake of his son's well-being. Meanwhile, Denan's father gives her a bag of makeup products and urges her to behave more like a typical girl. Dinan is angered by her father's constant pressure to conform and feel inadequate. She puts makeup on her younger brother and sneaks out of the house with her father's car key. She is about to drive away in the car but is stopped by Henry just in time. Henry informs her that driving without a license is against the law and offers an alternative activity. They head to a go-kart racetrack where they participate in a race. Henry even invites Denan's father to join in the fun. During the go-kart race, the father and daughter compete fiercely against each other and end up crashing their go-karts outside of the track. Denan's go-kart is almost hit by a passing vehicle, but she manages to avoid it. Her father is devastated and believes that she died in the accident, but she is safe. Dinan realizes that her father does love her and they reconcile with a hug. The following day, Bruce, Chris, and a group of students are sent to a rehabilitation center to interview a recovering alcoholic. They are shocked to find out that the person they are supposed to interview is their own father. The students ask him how he became an alcoholic, and he reveals that his wife left him during the darkest period of his life. As a result, the man began drinking and neglected his responsibility to take care of his 2 children, Bruce and Chris. Although he does not reveal that they are his sons, he apologizes to them for his behavior. This leaves the brothers in tears by the end of the encounter. Meanwhile, Jack has started working for MMA bettor Jianying. Jianying offers Jack a large sum of money to drug a fighter drink in an upcoming match. Initially hesitant, Jack is coerced into accepting the offer. On the day of the fight, Jianying sponsors a fighter but bets against him. Jack drugs the fighter drink but is caught in the act. Instead of blaming Jianying, he is beaten up and locked inside a locker. After a while, Henry arrives at the location and inquires with the fighters if they have seen his student. The men attempt to send him away, but Jack manages to yell for help from inside the locker. Upon realizing that Jack is trapped, Henry springs into action and easily overpowers the attackers. As the fighters attempt to retaliate, Henry skillfully dodges their attacks. In the end, Henry knocks out the fighter's best competitor, who was scheduled to fight shortly. In the next scene, they are at the hospital where Henry receives treatment for his injuries. Jack tries to reveal the truth about Jianying but he is silenced. However, the news of Henry's heroism spreads, and he gains a reputation as the man who defeated a professional fighter to rescue his student. As a result, his popularity in the school increases, and the students begin to admire him. They even stand up to welcome him to the class, which is a stark contrast to their previous behavior. In a flashback, it is revealed that Henry used to be a prankster in school. He once threw water balloons at a student who was performing piano during a school event, and later, he got into a fight with the same student and broke his hand. As a consequence, he was suspended from school and had to leave for the United States. Starting from that day, the students begin to take Henry's teachings seriously and study diligently for the college entrance test. However, Bruce is an exception to this positive change, as he becomes addicted to pills. While Chris uses video games to cope with their family problems, Bruce turns to drugs. As a result, his performance in the mock entrance test is poor due to lack of focus. Henry promises to help him, but Bruce sinks into depression and eventually jumps off their house balcony. He is taken to the hospital and falls into a coma. The media distorts the truth and falsely accuses Henry and the school for Bruce's actions. As a result, the education board investigates the matter and decides to strip Henry of his teaching license. As Henry leaves the school, the students follow him, begging him to stay. Although saddened by his departure, the students are determined to excel in their upcoming exam to prove that Henry is an excellent teacher. In preparation for the test, Henry sends a message to Jack and the other students to meet him at school 1 hour before the exam. When the students gather, they discover that Jianying has intentionally confined them in the school to prevent them from reaching the examination hall on time. He has done this to teach Henry a lesson. Later, Henry arrives at school and learns about Jianying's plan. He frees the students and fights against Jianying's accomplices to protect the children from harm. The students make their way to the examination hall while Henry fights Jianying one-on-one. During their fight, Jianying reveals that he was the person whom Henry had thrown water balloons at when they were children. Since Henry had broken his arm, Jianying was unable to participate in a major music competition. After the incident, the student who played piano for the parents stopped playing altogether and blamed Henry for ruining his dream. Henry tried to reason with him but was attacked again. They struggled to get hold of a knife, and Henry had a chance to kill him but chose to walk away after asking for forgiveness for his past actions. Meanwhile, the students reached the examination hall on time and passed their tests with flying colors a few weeks later. Jianying starts playing the piano again but knows that he has to practice a lot before he can become as good as he used to be. After Bruce's recovery, he pledges to take the entrance test next year. The principal is thrilled because the board awards them a 20% bonus fund due to the excellent performance of their students in the entrance exam. Henry resumes teaching and teaches another group of students the fire sprinkle trick. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.